Okay, so now there's two ladies.
Two women that have been at the Medellin Falls Hospital since there was a hospital, I'm sure. Elsie and Edna. Well, there's only two women in that entire place that are big enough to take my pants.
No.
Edna Grape that day was the lucky recipient of my pants.
Oh boy.
I didn't give my pants up to nobody. She took them. And there's two places in your scalp where all your nerves go through. Well, he said, now this is going to hurt just a little bit, but I got to give you some Novocaine to deaden this so I can sew it back together. Edna came over and she grabbed my hand on one side, and I grabbed the bed rail on the other side. And when he stuck that needle in there to give that little, I crushed her hand. I know I crushed it, and that bed rail, I bent it. It wouldn't go down no more after I got it.
Oh man.
Wow.
And it hurt really, really, really bad. But she stood right there and never. She said, "You just squeeze all you want to squeeze now."
No, no.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, that's how I eliminated Mr. Darnell's logging truck.
How many stitches?
I don't know. He quit counting sutures after 18. Took him 4.5 hours to sew my head back together.
Wow.
Because there's 3 different layers, and you got to sew each.
Uh-huh.
So it was 4.5 hours.
Oh my God.
Dr. Baines is the man that did that.
Mhm.
Dr. Who?
Baines.
Baines. Wow.
He took
Okay.
care of you kids.
Yeah.
Travis.
Okay, so you quit the logging industry for a while.
Yeah, for a while. Then as soon as I was able to go back to work, I went to work in the Hangout Cafe, cooking in the afternoon.
Really? So you were a cook at the Hangout. How long did this last?
A year?
Yeah.
Was it a year? You were still there then.
Yeah.
Did you make decent money there, or was it just because you're bored?
I don't remember. I think I made $6-7 an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, you were living. Were you living on your own then?
Well, I lived with Mom in the alley.
That didn't sound right.
Yeah, me and my mom lived in the alley.
Yeah.
Now,
We lived in Kubota's house in the alley behind
okay.
the store.
And we lived
I'm trying to
in
picture it. Yeah.
We lived in the apartment above the
Aha.
butcher shop.
Okay.
Just down
I
the
know.
alley.
I know what.
Do you know?
And
Do you
you
know?
ran away from home.
I know
one
what
day
you're
and
talking
went down
about.
to Aunt Betty's house.
That's
to
right.
live.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Do you know where the Grandpa Kubota's house was?
Yeah.
Just up from Grandpa Kubota's on the other side of the alley. There's a blue house that's tucked in there. Not a very big house, but it's there. That's where Grandma and I lived. Was in that blue house.
Wow. Okay, so you worked at the Hangout for a year, and then you threw in the towel, said, "I want to do something different." What?
How old were you? What year
That
was
was
it?
in. I wrecked the log truck in '79 because I came back from Alaska in '78. Wrecked the log truck in '79. I worked at the Hangout in 1980. I didn't work a whole year at the Hangout because what I did next was I went to work for Mitchell Transport, hauling cement.
Okay.
So I was, how old was I? And must have been 25 or they wouldn't have hired me.
So you hauled cement. Now, what did that entail? Was it the cement dust, or was it the?
Dry cement.
Okay,
not-
dry cement.
Not concrete.
Okay.
Cement.
Okay.
There's a big difference between concrete and cement.
Okay.
We hauled the cement powder all over eastern Washington and eastern British Columbia. Penticton.
Ooh.
uh,
Cool.
The big one that I got stuck on most of the time was Sparwood, BC. They were building big silos for coal mines, and they'd take like 8 loads twice a day.
Wow.
So I did that forever for 6 nights a week.
Mm-hmm. And that road up there, that highway, was
Yeah,
treacherous. I hated it.
How much better was the pay than cooking?
Ooh, a lot better.
Uh-huh.
$12.23 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
and 28 cents a mile.
I still don't make that much.
You went back for a while and lived up at Aunt Betty and Uncle Gus's house on Grandview by yourself. Was that about that time?
Yeah.
Right in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, 'cause I remember going up
Yeah,
there.
because Jane and Frank left, and
Yeah.
they went to Spokane because Jane got real sick again.
Mhm.
And basically, at about that time, they split up for health insurance reasons.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. But you lived in Aunt Jane's house, the log cabin.
Well, our old log house on
Yeah,
Grandview
Aunt
Flat.
Betty and
Yeah.
Uncle Gus's
Okay.
house.
Okay.
Me and my cat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So you were making real good money, living in a house you didn't have to pay for.
Well,
Where'd all the money go?
problem-
So you're living in the log cabin.
In the first place, there was an electric bill
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
that wasn't paid.
Okay. Now, how big was this electric
Well,
bill?
it was a pretty good sized electric bill. And when I said, well, look, I'm not Mr. Darnell, I'm somebody else that's living in the house. And they said,
Mhm.
well, we don't care if this bill isn't paid. We're not going to leave the electricity on, we're going to turn it off. Don't ever tell the electric company to take their wires with them when they leave.
Oh my God.
Because they did. They cut them right off the front of the house and took the wires with them when they left.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
So this house I had water, but I didn't have no electricity.
Wow.
So we cooked on the barrel stove and didn't have a refrigerator, had an ice
Remember that.
chest, and
I came to visit him on one dark rainy day and we sat around the stove and kept warm.
kerosene lamp for lights.
Yeah. Wow.
I also made another mistake while I was there. I read The Shining
Oh,
my
boy.
God.
in that house
No, by yourself.
all by myself, and I was only living in the back wing of it.
Mm-hmm.
And my darn cat would go out into the front of the house and knock things over and make noise and just scare the hell right out of me.
Yeah.
I'd go to bed and pull the covers up over my nose. Scary, scary book, The Shining, yes?
Yeah.
Boy.
Okay, now being that the log cabin is no longer there, give us the best description of the log cabin you can.
Well, it started out as a 2-bedroom log house
Mm-hmm.
with a kitchen, a dining room, a living room, a bedroom, a bathroom, and a bedroom. My father and his brother, Don, went to the Three Seas camp at Sullivan Lake, jacked up one of the barracks' bunkhouses, back to Jim's transfer truck under it, set it down, hauled it down to our house, backed it in a hole behind the house and set it down. Then my other uncle, my mom's brother, Bill, gutted the inside out of it and put a bathtub room that had the sink and the bathtub, the toilet, and the shower. Those were 3 separate rooms. There was a utility room, stairs to go up to the attic of the old part of the house, and 2 bedrooms. So we ended up having a 4-bedroom house.
Wow. Okay, the attic, how big was that?
It wasn't very big.
Yeah,
There's no,
just storage.
yeah.
Yeah.
And looking back now that all of the stuff is going on at Libby now with the zolamite and how dangerous and how that's supposed to kill you. It had zolanite insulation that every kid that's related to me in this room played in,
Mm-hmm.
because we went up there because Uncle Bill had put some fir flooring down, and we had a slot car track up there, and you fall off the flooring onto the, get that zolanite all over you, and I don't know, we're still here.
Yeah.
That's your problem, Barb. Just come
There
to
you go.
haunt you.
There you go, call them up over Libby and tell them to put your name into the pot.
Yeah.
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 So you basically use that as a playroom almost then.
No, we really weren't supposed to.
Oh, so it was kind of a forbidden place that you guys hung out?
A secret hideaway.
Well,
Yeah.
yes and no. I mean, it was a place that we could go once in a while to play with the race car set.
Uh-huh.
But it wasn't really something that, no, we weren't, it wasn't a playroom or nothing.
Yeah. Okay,
Whose idea was it to bulldoze the house?
No. That came when Tony Bomani was in charge of the flats there for a while, and everything got taken out of the building, so, because he couldn't find us.
Oh. So he just did it without anybody's permission?
Pretty much so.
Hmm.
And the levels came and took most of it. So-called friends.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they knew everything that was there because he was Frank's partner, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's all right, I walk on him too, dog.
yeah.
He's
Now,
got more for you.
I seem to recall a horse-drawn sleigh in the back. Was that? Do I remember that correctly in the
Mhm.
barn? Did you guys go out on that regularly, or was that kind of a novelty, or
Oh, yeah,
what?
When we were little kids, Dad had Chum and Dan, and we hauled Santa Claus every year, either in the cutter or the buggy.
Mhm.
One or the other. The cutter is a little 2-runner sleigh, if you don't know what that is.
Mhm.
And then he had the actual hay wagon that he'd have hay rides on,
Yeah.
depending on the winter, if it was, you know, where he could take it down the highway.
Mhm.
I remember one year, and I don't remember what year, because I was pretty little, but I remember having a hayride where we were actually Christmas caroling all around the town of Medellin Falls on the back of the sleigh behind the team,
Wow.
but I don't remember when.
Uh huh.
I can remember a lot of things like that I can't.
Yeah. They also had a really big, like, sled thing out there. Now, tell me a little bit about that.
Bobsleigh.
Yeah, bobsled. Now, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I really don't remember much about that when Dad was playing with it. What I remember is when who was it that rebuilt it? I think it was Ken,
Mm-hmm.
my brother Ken, your dad, and Bobby. Rebuilt it, resurrected it, put a new plank on it, and we're going to do all these wonderful things, and they damn near killed themselves with it on the quarry hill, and that was the end of the...
When did it call it toboggan?
Mm-mm, no, it was a bobsled.
Oh, I thought it was a toboggan.
Because this one, you steer,
Oh.
and the guy on the back had brakes,
Hmm.
and the quarry road was really, really icy and slick, and they really got going really fast before they crashed.
Oh, my goodness sakes.
It was not a good thing.
So
I
you,
don't know what happened to that.
It was still up there when Jane and Frank lived there, because I remember seeing it.
so you never had any personal runs with it?
No,
No.
no, I wasn't big enough.
We were the little kids.
Yeah. You know, all our lives we were the
The
little,
little
kids.
kids. You're too little. You can come with us.
We never got to do none of the really fun things.
Really,
We
what
had-
were
that's why
what were
we
the
had to
other
go- That's why we had to go do the really mean things.
what were the other kids doing that you thought was really fun that you didn't get a chance
well,
to
there
do?
was trips that they would take that we wouldn't get to go on because we were the little kids.
Uh-huh.
You
Oh,
know,
that's-
horseback trips. And all the time my dad plowed snow in the wintertime for the state, I never got to go with him because I wasn't old enough. I was one of the little kids.
Uh-huh.
My older brother got to go all the time.
Okay, so you lived in this log cabin. You drove the truck all the way up to British Columbia. What happened after that?
I basically got tired of working 6 days a week and wanted to get back into something else, and went to work for Beanie Robinson, driving dump truck, hauling gypsum to the cement plant. Instead of cement away from the cement plant, I started hauling gypsum into the cement plant.
Where did you get the gypsum from?
Invermere, BC.
Wow.
It's up between Cranbrook and Radium Hot Springs.
So you're still making the long trip, just in the
Yeah, but
opposite
just
direction.
once a day, 5 days a week,
Yeah.
during the daytime instead of at night.
So they didn't use gypsum a whole lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was 2 trucks that made 2 trips each a day. I just was one of the daytime
Oh.
drivers.
Okay. Did you stay in the log cabin during this time, or?
About that time I moved into the Knicksu village.
With his attack cat.
Yeah, with Rufus.
Yeah.
The cat would jump off the refrigerator and attack people as they walked through the door.
And I wasn't always a good boy, and I'd come home in the middle of the night a little inebriated,
Uh-huh.
and the cat would sit just where the door wouldn't hit it when you throw the door open. And then he would leap, land on my chest.
He was an attack cat.
And I think he did it more for the shock value
yeah.
than
He was such a funny cat. He scared the heck out of me though.
And then he would go as I was sitting down to take my boots and stuff off. He never got on the counter or anything like that. He'd get up on the shelf and there'd be a knick-knack there, and he'd look at me and he'd go, knock it off on the floor. Oh, just what do you think you're going to do about it? 2 of us can be bad, you know. The cat had a personality.
He did.
Then we'd go to bed, and he'd get in bed with me. If somebody came and knocked on the door, he growled just like a dog.
Wow.
He didn't like being disturbed once it was bedtime.
Oh.
He lived a long and happy life and slept with me most of his life until I got married. And my ex-wife and him didn't get along too well because he thought he was the ruler of the roost, and he'd get in between us in the bed and she'd get shredded.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He lost that battle.
Yeah. Now, did you still work for the trucking company then, Beanie?
No, by then I had gone to work for Claude Grove back in a log truck again.
Uh-huh. So did you run all sorts of lumber mills, or just the one in Ione?
Mostly when I started out, we were up in Ione, but we hauled the Spokane, Priest River, Ione, Colville, Kettle Falls. And then we moved from the Ione area down to Priest River, so we were mostly in Priest River mills then.
Mm-hmm.
But we hauled all over.
Wow. Okay, so you got married that first time. Who was that to?
I married Charlene Hurst.
Charlene Hurst.
Well, then her name was Charlene Yates.
Gates?
Yates.
Yates. Huh.
No, that was her maiden name. What was her name when I married her?
Matan is what
Yeah.
the kids are named.
Yeah,
What is it?
Matan.
Matan.
Matan, that's right.
M-I-T-T-A-N.
Huh.
She went from Matan to Martin.
Oh, boy, that'd be an interesting jump.
She had 2 kids, Chanda and Matthew, ages 2 and 4.
Uh huh. Where did you get married that first time?
At the Justice of the Peace in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. So you went all the way over to Idaho?
Well, we were
Cool.
living in Priest River, so
Oh, okay, okay.
there's just a short hop down the
Uh huh.
Highway 95 or 41 to Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the justice, it was the judge in Coeur d'Alene that married us.
And then we had Danny.
And don't ask me what year, because I can never ever remember.
84.
He was 2
I
years,
wasn't there.
Okay.
he was 2 years older than James.
Oh.
84.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So you lived down there. How long did you stay there?
You moved to Dakota by the time Danny was.
Yeah, Danny was 1 year old. Had his
Mhm.
first birthday at the house in Bucota.
Yeah.
Really?
So I was there for probably, well, I worked for Clyde Grove for 3 years, and that was 2 of them in Priest River.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you moved all the way over to Bucota. Was it for the mine?
Yeah, I was in the open pit coal mine.
Yeah.
And my wife told me at the time that if we moved to Bucota that it wouldn't take long and we'd be divorced. And sure enough, it was not very long and we were divorced.
Uh huh. What did you do there at the mine?
I was an equipment operator. I started on scraper, and after I was there almost a year, I had enough seniority and was good enough that I bid off on a dozer. So then I got to work graveyard for the rest of my life on dozer.
So you didn't really take too kindly to dozer, huh?
I like the dozer. It's just
Graveyard.
Graveyard shift.
I
huh?
couldn't sleep. I got to the point after 2 years there, I think I was averaging like maybe 2.5, 3 hours of sleep a day.
Oh wow.
And for the last 7 months, because me and the wife were fighting, I worked every day, so I was a pretty grouchy guy.
Yeah.
I just never, graveyard never ever, my internal clock never ever would set itself to graveyard time. There's just some people that can work graveyard and some people can't. I'm
Yeah.
one of them that my body kept telling me this is time to be asleep. Now,
Yeah.
I've worked a lot of jobs where I got up and went to work at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and worked till 7, 8 o'clock at night,
Uh huh.
like hauling log. That doesn't bother me, but going to work at 11 at night and getting off at 7 in the morning, just,
Yeah.
I never ever, I didn't know whether to go home and go right to bed or go home and stay up until I just be really tired and try to sleep, and none of it worked.
Uh huh.
So I
Yeah.
didn't like it. And working at the coal mine wasn't, nothing you did really ever mattered.
Yeah.
Because when you come back to work tomorrow, it's all going to be covered over, and it's just a gob and go move thousands of yards of dirt just as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So it
Wow.
takes no talent. You're just a body that,
Does the work. Yeah.
A worker bee.
yep, a number, a drone.
Uh huh. Okay. So how long did you stay in Bucota?
2 years.
Yeah. And you threw in the towel there, said, I'm done with mining.
Well, I basically followed my ex-wife back to Priest River,
Yeah.
and we were not there very long, and we were divorced.
Mm-hmm.
And then I worked on the paper mill in Usk. No. I went back to work for Robinson, hauling rock around Medellin Falls area.
Yeah.
And then I went to work for Matt Pumnia on the paper mill at Usk. And pretty much had problems being around too close to the ex-wife, so then I decided it was time to go back to Alaska. So one day I came home with my paycheck and threw my camp stove and a couple weeks worth of canned groceries in the back seat with my fishing pole and headed for Alaska. I drove up through Prince George to Prince Rupert and got on the ferry at Prince Rupert. It cost me $44 for gas to get that far, and it cost me $40 to go to Ketchikan.
Wow.
I had $600 in my pocket. I got to Ketchikan, got off the ferry, and figured I have 2 weeks worth of groceries that I can eat out of the car. I can sleep in the car till I can get a job. 2 days later, I was working on Long Island for the Clackawan Indians.
Wow. So you worked for the Indians. What did you do up there?
I ran a grader to start with,
Uh-huh.
grading road for the logging camp on Long Island. The island was 13 miles long, 7 miles wide.
Wow.
And they had probably 400 miles of road.
Uh-huh.
And I just went round and round and round in circles.
Far out.
And I ran the road grader for the first 6 or 7 months. Then the boss found out that I could run pretty much anything that he wanted to put me on. So I became the guy that I never knew how to dress when I got up in the morning because I never knew what I was going to do.
Uh-huh.
Today I might be on a dozer, I might be on a log loader, I might be down in the yard running the big 988 unloading the logs, might be on the grader, might
Wow.
be driving a log truck, might be driving a uke. Wherever he had somebody that wasn't there, that's what. And then they got a D5 skid cat.
Oh.
And they put this machine, its whole sole purpose was there was little corners that they couldn't get with the high lead yarders.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be 1 or 2 Sitka spruce, great big ones that, you know, and they're $2,500, $1,000 at the time. There might be 1 or 2 trees standing there. So they had me to run the dozer, and they had a faller, they call them bushlers, or cutter, guy
Mhm.
that runs chainsaw, to fall them and buck them, and we were our own little side. And everybody made fun of us because on a good day up there, high lead crew will get 170, 180 logs in a good day. And you
Mhm.
know, we're talking anywhere from, they don't take anything under about 3 feet, and the logs might be 3 feet to 18 feet in diameter, and they get 180 of them a day.
Wow.
Well, there was days that Milt and I worked our butt off, and we get 1 log.
Oh, man.
But it would be, some of them were, I think the shortest one that I ever took was 20 feet long. It was 18 feet in diameter. And there was no way that I could hook the winch to it and winch it down the trail. So we made a wide enough trail that I rolled it,
Oh, wow.
just like
Yeah.
with the blade. And it took us days to build the bed because you don't, at $2,400, $2,500, $1,000, you don't break these logs.
Yeah.
If a faller out falls one wrong and it snaps and it breaks, and
Uh-huh.
he's fired immediately on the spot. You get no chance whatsoever. If you break one, you're done.
Wow.
But those guys are really high dollar fallers that make like $450 a day,
Wow.
you know, because they know what they're doing. And there's, on the big ones, it'll take them 2-3 days to fall enough little stuff to, anyway, that's what I did.
Wow.
And then winter came and it froze up, and all the high leads were froze up, and they were getting 5-10 logs a day. And when it froze up, me and Milton could go anywhere we wanted to go with our dozer, and we were getting like 150 logs a day.
Mm.
And we got to rub it in that, yeah, well, we got 150 logs today. How many did you get? 2. So we got even eventually. I liked working with Milton. He was a good partner.
Uh-huh.
And the side rod, the number 2 boss, he'd come out and look at what Milton and I were doing, just shake his head and go away. Nobody wanted to come, and because we didn't do anything that was real orthodox. You know, there was places that, one place in particular that I remember, we took about 4 days to build enough of a trail to get up around this rock ledge
Yeah.
to get this pocket of timber they wanted us to take. It was all second growth timber, maybe 4 feet in diameter on
Yeah.
the butt, you know, so not real big, but nice stuff. So it took us 4 days to build this trail. He'd cut a bunch of stuff and I'd skid it and pack it in, and so I could crawl up around here. Well then, if we'd have skidded the logs down the trail that we built, we'd have dug it all back out and I couldn't get back. So this rock face is about 45 feet, but it's not straight up and down. It's kind of sloped.
Uh-huh.
So what I'd do is I'd get all the logs that the cat would pull, and I'd get them behind me, and I'd get right to the edge, and then as the cat fell over the edge, I'd release the winch so that the logs would stay there, and I'd just slide to the bottom of that rock.
Oh,
And then I'd pull ahead a little bit, and I'd pull the logs, and they'd come over.
oh
Then
my
I'd have to
God.
go like hell to get out of the way, so the logs didn't get me, and that's
Yeah.
how we got.
Oh my
And that's
God.
when the side rod came and just shook his head, and he never came back.
Mm-mm-mm.
They just left us alone. We're-
Come find your dead bodies later.
Now, you mentioned some really thick trees. What's the biggest tree you saw up there?
The biggest tree I think that I saw that actually came in while I was there, they loaded it on the lowboy because they couldn't haul it. We only had 10-foot bunks on the log trucks, and they cut a 20-foot stick and they loaded it on the lowboy. It was 22 feet in diameter, and they set it on there like a carrot cube. You know?
22 feet in diameter. Wow. Now, how tall was this tree?
100 feet.
Wow.
Wow.
They grow like carrots, you know. They don't get really like, not like a sequoia or anything like
Uh-huh.
that. They're kind of carroty that way.
Wow.
Some of them are taller, but you know, not.
Yeah. Now, I don't suppose you'd use modern cutting down techniques for something. How would you cut down a 20-foot
Well, they
diameter?
go out with a chainsaw.
Uh-huh.
It might have a 70, 80-inch bar on it,
Okay.
and you basically start working your way in, and you cut your undercut just like you always have, and
Uh-huh.
then when you start your back cut on those big ones, they'll have like 4 hydraulic jacks that they cut little squares and notch right in where their undercut is, and they set those jacks in there, and they got 4 guys that as the sawyers start cutting, they'll cut from both sides, then 2 saws, and they work their way out from the jack holes, and those guys will start jacking, and they actually jack the tree over with a hydraulic jack.
Oh, wow.
But before any of that ever starts, on those great big ones like that, they'll spend days figuring out where the best lie, they call it,
Uh-huh.
and that's the best place to fall it. And then they'll fall all kinds of little trees and try to leave them so they stick up, so they're not touching the ground, so that when this giant tree falls on them, they break its fall, and it lands and it doesn't smash it all up.
Wow.
And that's what I say, if you break one, because that's, and all this timber that's there in Southeast goes to Korea or Japan, and they sink it in the ocean, and 100 years from now they'll ship it back and we'll be paying through the nose for it. And that's where it all goes. All of the timber that they cut on Long Island went on ships and went either to Japan or Korea.
Wow.
And they cut off of Long Island the year I was there. They cut 40 million feet that year, and they were mad because their quota was 50 million feet. That's a lot of timber.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they clear cut everything, and the sad part of it is that country, when they're done, it just looks like a bomb went off out there, and they don't take any of the small stuff, you know. That's just junk. So it's all clear cut, and then you go for miles and you see nothing but just piled up junk.
Yeah. Now,
Sad.
yeah. Now, how long did you stay up there?
I worked the first season on Long Island, came back for the second season. The road foreman decided to go to a fog neck, so I went to a fog neck, which is another island up by Kodiak Island,
Okay.
for a different outfit. Stayed part of the season there, went to Anchorage, and then went back to Long Island. So I was there for the better part of 2 seasons,
Wow.
which
Okay.
is 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're out doing these unorthodox things. What made you leave?
Once again, what irritated me why I left Long Island in the first place is there was a really good job came open down at the log yard, running the 988, unloading the log trucks when they come in. I wanted that job. I had seniority for the job. The bullbuck wouldn't give it to me. And
Did he tell you why?
oh yeah. He took me aside and he said, "Now, the reason I'm not going to give you that job is not because I don't like you, because I do." He said, "I like you a lot."
Mm-hmm.
But he said, "The reason I'm not going to give you that job is because I can depend on you whenever I need a shovel operator or a truck driver or anything right up to yarder engineer. I can
Mhm.
stick you in it and you can do it, and I don't have to worry about this side being down because there's nobody there today."
Uh-huh.
And that was really a pretty good compliment, but it really irritated me because I wanted that really good job. I was tired of
Uh-huh.
wearing rain gear today and not knowing, you know, from one day to the next what you're going to do. So the road foreman was going up to work for Mike Valentine, and I'd never been there, and Fog Neck Island had Kodiak bears on it, and I wanted to see a Kodiak bear, so,
Did you?
oh yeah.
What? I've seen them on TV that they're bigger than normal grizzlies, but how close did you get?
Do I tell this story or
Really
not?
close.
I was the pioneer dozer operator building road,
Okay.
out ahead of everybody else. And I'm running a great big dozer, and I had to go number 2. So I got off and went over by this bush that I couldn't see over. And I squatted down and I was doing my thing. The hair on the back of my neck stood up. And I looked up like that, and there was a bear looking over that bush at me. And the only thing I could think was, he's thinking breakfast. And I ran to my dozer with my pants around my ankles in about 2 hops, and got in and locked the doors. And I swear to God that bear's head had to be, I don't know, the the bush. I later got out and I could just barely touch the top branches of the bush
Uh-huh.
with my fingers. And this bear was looking over it. And his
Wow.
upper legs were bigger around than I am. So, you know,
Wow.
it really, really scared me. But you don't ever see those. You know, the only reason I saw him is because I was way out where there's no...
And you had your pants down, so.
Naturally, I'd have
You
never
like
seen
it.
it unless I'd been being quiet with my pants down.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know, like around camp or driving on the road, the big bears don't. You see the little bears, they come in and steal the garbage and stuff like that. But the great big bears, they
Uh-huh.
stay out away from.
Now, if you had to give an estimate on weight of that thing,
I don't have any idea.
Really,
Wow.
really big.
1,500 pounds? Would that be 1,200 pounds? I don't know.
and it, yeah, I was just curious. That's
Like say his upper leg, right where it come off of his shoulder, is bigger around than me.
uh-huh.
And his head, I know, had to be 3 feet in diameter. Of course, when you're
Yeah. Nose to nose.
when you're looking like this, it's awful big looking.
Yeah.
Did
Wow.
you scream?
No,
Not a sound.
Uh-huh.
Was there a brown trail back to the dozer?
no, I don't think you could have drove a needle in there with a hammer.
Well, that's pinching right off.
Tell you what.
The pucker factor was really, really high.
Yeah. So,
Oh, Lord.
you get in the dozer. Did the bear come up onto the dozer, or
No, no. He wasn't interested in me. He just
yeah?
was wandering by and
Just want to see what you're doing.
I assumed smelled me and thought,
What on earth is that?
what is that?
Huh?
In my
Wow.
neck of the woods.
Wow.
No, once I got back in the dozer, I mean, you know, then I'm completely safe because
Yeah.
I got a great big dozer and I don't care how big the bear is.
I'll
he
run
can
your ass
get me.
over.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
But the funniest thing I saw with a bear while I was there is probably a yearling bear, maybe 300-400 pounds, came in to camp and he picked up a Rubbermaid garbage can.
Okay.
And he walked out of camp carrying this garbage can, just like you or I would walk out of camp carrying this garbage can.
Oh.
And there was a little mound across the creek, and he walked over there and he sat down on this mound, and he set the can right between his legs, and he kind of shook it like this, and nothing happened, and he went ka-wham. And when he did that, the sides caved in, and the lid popped up, and garbage flew up, you know.
Uh-huh.
So he apparently thought that was pretty cool because he did it again. And garbage flew up, but the lid had already gone. And the third time he did it, nothing happened. And he just destroyed that garbage can. I mean,
Oh,
tore
no.
it into little tiny pieces. It just like it pissed him off that it didn't.
You're supposed to do it every time.
We stood and watched that. Everybody's got cameras in their
No
bunkhouse. Nobody got a picture.
pictures. Didn't want to miss anything.
Well, yeah, and this took, you know, this didn't just take 2 minutes. It took several minutes for all of this to happen, and we all just stood there and watched. If
Oh.
we'd have had a video camera, I mean,
Oh.
you could sell it for millions of dollars.
Yep. That would have been funny.
That
Was it
is.
fairly frequent that you saw bear?
Oh, yeah, the little ones. They'd come into camp all the time for garbage, and they used to, building road, they'd bring the garbage out, and you'd bury it in the road, but the bears got wise to that, and they quit that because the bears would come out and dig up, you know,
The
dig
road.
up the road where, and they'd dig big holes in it, and pickups would fall in it, and they would not.
No.
Oh,
So they got to the point where they had a dump, and you could go up to the dump and see the bears all the time. But once again, the big ones might have come in at night, but You didn't ever see the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of trouble there. They have world-class elk on Fogneck Island too. And they have a lot of trouble. They lose a hunter just about every year because the bear have figured out that once they hear the rifle shoot, that means it's dinner time.
Dinner's
Oh,
there.
no.
So they come in and they take the meat, and sometimes the hunter gets killed in the process. But
Well, the
Wow.
gun's just a dinner bell.
Uh-huh. How big are these elk?
that's their antlers are big, but that's the reason why people come there is their body are a lot bigger than most elk. Like around here, they're a lot bigger. They stand
Yeah.
another 1.5 feet taller,
Uh-huh.
and they're just big body.
Do you do any hunting while you're up there?
I did, but not a lot.
Yeah.
I got schmoozed into buying a .338 Magnum for protection.
Uh-huh.
I think I shot it 3 times the whole time I owned it, and was sore for weeks after each time I shot it. Only once at a time, you know.
Yeah.
Couldn't shoot it twice in a row.
Yeah.
So when I left the Fogneck, some other fool had it.
What brand, what size was it?
.338
That's
Magnum.
what Ron bought, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
They
think
said
he
it was a
did.
good elephant gun,
Yeah.
not much good for North American game.
Yeah, well, I was talked into it, not, of course, you know, had to go the whole schmo. I bought the .338 Seiko with the glass bedded fiberglass stock, stainless steel barrel, the whole package, you know. Yeah, right, here, you can have it, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Sat in my closet for a year. The best thing for bear protection, come to find out from the surveyor, he wore little bells on his shoelaces. Everywhere he went, them bells were ringing, and the bears leave him alone.
Wow.
Of course, he packed a 12-gauge pump with slugs too, but he didn't
Mhm.
have any trouble.
Yeah.
It's mostly when people get in trouble is unless they've just killed an elk. It's because they come along and surprise them. You know, they don't know they're there, and all of a sudden, bang, you run into each other, and the first instinct is, well, you're littler than me, you got to be something I can eat.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
I never had any problem.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of fishing, but not a lot of hunting.
Yeah. Now you said you were up front making this road. Now you said there, you mentioned a surveyor. So did you have little stakes in the ground that said, "Okay, make the road this way," or
No, what I had was I would follow a ribbon line.
okay?
Every 50 feet, he would tie a pink ribbon where I could see it from the previous ribbon.
Mm-hmm.
And you just go from one ribbon to the next. And he went around and found the best spot for the road. And the problem is, there's not a lot of rock and there is a lot of mud. So he would follow a route where I could shave off this knob and push it out across this swamp to get across to the next knob, turn around and rip it and push it back, and then go
Uh-huh.
keep filling the swamps with the rock.
Yeah.
But he just put me on a ribbon line.
Wow.
No stakes,
Yeah.
nothing fancy, nothing permanent, just enough to get the log trucks in there, get the logs on, get them out. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how long did you do that for? 2 seasons, you said?
well, they're on a Fogneck. I was only there for probably 7 months.
Yeah.
I was traveling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see, I was divorced. Basically, I was hiding out
Mm-hmm.
from the world, because when you live in a logging camp, you have no contact with the outside world unless you want.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have TV. We had canned movies in camp that you could go watch the movie at night. And then later I did get a TV, and I had canned TV. It was all put on, so it was like a week late from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much just a fantasy land where you live in your own little world. And once a month I'd go to Ketchikan when I was on Long Island and stay at the Gilmore Hotel and raise hell for 2 nights in a row, go back to camp and work for another month.
Wow.
And you work 6 days a week and you take Sunday to do your laundry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's basically pretty much a bunkhouse rat's life.
Yeah. Yeah. So you did some fishing while you were there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and my roommate bought a 10-foot Zodiac with a 20-horse motor on it.
Uh-huh.
And we used to go out and waves that 5-6 foot. They just bobbed like a cork and never thought nothing of it. Just be out there.
Yeah. Catch anything really?
We caught a 175-pound halibut that we could not get in the boat.
Oh no.
Well, we shot it with the 410 when we got him up to the top, but we took the gaffed him, put the rope around his tail, and
Yeah.
towed him back to there at the dock in camp. They had a crane that went on the dock that picked him up and put him on the gutting table and the fillet table.
Wow.
Flayed him out and sent what they put in stores around here back into the bay for the crabs to eat, and just kept the fillets,
Mm-hmm.
froze them, and sent them to Grandma.
Far out.
But we caught a lot of, used to catch a lot of sea urchins, and you'd snag them when you're trying for halibut. And what they all called them was rock cod. I don't know what the hell they were really. They were a little fish about that long that had spines all over them.
Uh-huh.
And nobody kept them. You just get them off your hook and throw them overboard
Yeah.
because you're fishing for. And a lot of guys fished for salmon, and I don't like salmon, so I was always fishing for halibut.
Far out.
But we'd catch chicken halibut, 25, 30 pounders, quite regular. Those are actually the best ones.
Wow. That is really cool. Fishing up there. Yeah. Okay, so after you do your rotation up there, you go where?
Went back to Centralia, because that's where Mom was. She was sick.
Mm-hmm.
Not doing real well, so I went to work for through the union again, working out of the operating engineers. Worked for Tucci Brothers in Tacoma.
Doing what?
Mostly I chased for Tucci. I chased a D6 dozer around well, actually, before I went to work for Tucci Brothers, I went to work on the Toutle River Highway, which is the Mount St. Helens Highway,
Mm-hmm.
until we had an accident there that I couldn't deal with, so I left there and went to work for Tucci Brothers, and ended up from Tucci Brothers, I went to Steilacoom Sand and Gravel, and from there I went to Robinson Trucking because there was somebody working there that I was interested in.
Okay. Going to that.
Well, when I was on a fog neck, I called home to talk to my buddies, and one place I knew that I would be able to find out where they were at was at the office at Robinson Trucking.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady that answered the phone was somebody that I had been interested in before, but didn't know about how to go about introducing myself. Because she had been married and then she was divorced, and she didn't come to town, or she didn't hang out at any place that I hung out, because I was always kind of the wrong side of the tracks type guy. And she was not the wrong outside the tracks type people. And basically, I guess what I'm saying is I didn't go to church, so I would not meet this person.
Yeah.
So anyway, I called up to talk to Mike Beecham, one of my very good friends, find out where he was at. She answered the phone, and I don't know, I think I talked to her for 45 minutes, an hour.
Wow.
And while I'm doing this, there is no phone on a fog neck. It is a mobile phone in a Suburban, and there's 6 other guys sitting out being chewed by mosquitoes waiting for me to get off.
Oh.
They're waiting their turn.
Oh.
Oh,
There's
no.
only one spot that you can go that this phone works, so it's up on top of this hill, and privacy concern, you had to get out so the guy that was actually using the phone could. So anyway, by the time I was done, they were all really pissed at me. But yeah, I talked to her for an hour, and I didn't forget that. And then through the whole Centralia trip, I never ever have liked it on the coast. Well, what we call the coast of Centralia. And I got tired of that, so I came back to Malian Falls.
Mm-hmm.